welcome to our next installment of the Security Middle East Magazine webinars. My name is Daniel Norman. I'm the chair for the Security Middle East Magazine and a regional director at the ISF. And I'm incredibly excited to introduce two of our speakers today. We're going to be covering some of the major challenges associated with resilience and smart cities. It's one of those topics, especially across the Middle East and North Africa, that is at the forefront of attention of governments and the private sector as well. So I've worked with Issam Shabani a couple of times now, so I can definitely attest to the quality of the speaker. But Issam is head of pre-sales at MVP Tech, a Convergint company. He's got significant experience in implementation across a variety of sectors. And our accompanying speaker is Marco Auditore, who is working with Milestone Group organization, or Milestone Systems, should I say. Again, significant experience in the space of security, designing and managing and integrating systems. And Marco is a firm believer in the idea that technology can be beneficial if it is sustainable and human-centered. Now, the goal of the session today is really to explore implementations of smart cities and the technology that underpins them. And there is a certain amount of value really associated with video management systems that goes above and beyond security and can add true value, return on investment to organizations. Now, in the Middle East and North Africa region, cities are evolving rapidly. Organizations, governments are embracing new ideas, new technologies, but there are a lot of challenges that we have to overcome as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to deep dive into the integration and the unified open platforms. And then we're going to explore some of the challenges and best practices in this space as well. So I'm looking at the screen. Can we still see the screen share at the moment before we jump into the first questions?
Apologies, not. I think Fawzia just needs to load it up again.
Okay, no problem at all. But welcome to the session, Marco, and welcome Issam. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. But as always, if anyone has any questions, please do add the questions to the question panel, and we will endeavour to ask them towards the end of the session. We will be having some polls as well, so everyone on the line, please feel free to get involved, give us your thoughts and feedback as well. But topic one, deep diving into the first area here, smart cities, looking at the physical security landscape. And I'd love to pose this first question to Issam. And the first question is, how have you observed the security needs of government and critical infrastructure in the Middle East, North Africa region changing between the pandemic before and after?
Yeah, thanks Dan, and thanks Marco for sharing this panel with us today. The whole subject is indeed very interesting, and it's an interesting angle to approach it from a pre and post pandemic type of situation. So just to give a bit of a context for this subject, this wasn't COVID-19 was not the first pandemic that we go through in the region, though of course the biggest. The most recent one could be the MERS pandemic that happened before. However, this one was significantly different. And there's a key word there, that's the uncertainty element. And I think the uncertainty that happened around this pandemic is something unprecedented in this scope. So when it comes to the known unknowns, there was a lot of them for this pandemic, and the main question was always, how do we prevent it? How do we prevent its transmission? How do we cure it? This was always a subject of controversy across the world. And naturally, when something like this or a situation like this happens, everybody ends up looking at the government initiative and what the leadership will be saying and instructing basically the society to be doing. For governments to be able to do that, you would need the tools in place to do it. That brings us to the subject of VMSs and platforms and interconnectivity and so many of those. In this part of the world, we had, of course, a varying response to this particular element, and it was highly linked and impacted by how much these governments were empowered by having these tools in place. So you can see that many governments in the Gulf, many cities in the Gulf had a much better response to this subject than many cities in maybe Africa or Levant or other areas of the Middle East. So along those lines, if we look at two particular countries, let's say the UAE and Saudi, the response here was way better, just because that they had the tools in place to be able to do that. So when we talk about these tools, and again, I approach these things, you know, as usual, as a systems integrator and as a designer of these solutions. So when we talk about these tools, we're talking about the surveillance, the infrastructure, communication infrastructure, and all of those elements that empowers government to be able to basically look at what's happening, investigate it, be able to have a 360-degree view on what's going on, and basically be able to react. So the governments that had it in place definitely had an advantage and definitely reacted in a much better way. A last point on this, you can see the impact of this actually on the number of fatalities. If you look at the number of fatalities in UAE, for example, compare it to what happened in US, it was insanely lower. We're talking about, in US, about 670 deaths per 100K. And in UAE, we had, I mean, across the entire pandemic, about 670 deaths. So this is the sort of a precursor. Post the pandemic, I think it became evident that the main tool to be able to understand the situation in the case of a pandemic is to have the right tools in place, have the right infrastructure. And we saw that impact directly in the strategies of this government in their drive towards having these systems in place.
Thank you, Assam, for setting the scene there. Post-pandemic, though, what are the sort of new threats and challenges that the region are facing? And where do you think that these innovative physical security solutions are required?
I think like post the pandemic, the challenges are still there, similar to pre-pandemic, and I'll give it a bit of a context in our region's space. I think the direct impact is that many of these governments took an initiative towards implementing those systems and towards having centralized solution, open source systems in place, and all of those details having nicely set. So if you look at the region, I mean, the challenges that we have, just to give it a bit of perspective, in UAE alone, you have around 14 million tourists coming every year. In Saudi, that's around 17 million in religious tourism. So the population is the main driver of those challenges, and of course, to be able to catch up with that, the focus was on the urban areas, which is where most of these populations are condensed. The other challenge is, of course, the diversity that we have in this region. Large expat populations, especially in the Gulf, socioeconomic pressure in some other areas, the fact that we attract a lot of wealth into the region, and we have a high number of I mean, very wealthy individuals. So all of these things being pushed towards the region naturally pushes the threat levels up, makes the region prone to be targeted by sabotage, by vandalism, by turmoil, by wars, by geopolitical pressures. And naturally, it sort of drives the innovation and drives the the reaction to these things, to have again the tools in place. So when we talk about these tools, we talk about tools that allow you to use the latest and greatest in tech. When you have the right platform in place, you can start talking about very advanced FR applications, very advanced AI applications sitting on your platform. And we've seen between Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Riyadh, Jeddah, all the big cities have already started a very large investments towards this space. And it was very evident after the pandemic, and most of the companies like Milestone experienced a double-digit growth through this period in the drive towards this direction.
Thank you, Issam. And I'd love to bring Marco in, just following that point there, because it sounds like the threat landscape is ever changing, a lot of attention and focus on the Middle Eastern region post-pandemic. So what, in your view, Marco, is the defining feature of an open platform VMS? And why is it indispensable, especially considering the backdrop of the security landscape?
So first of all, hello and good afternoon to everyone. It's an honor to be here in this webinar. So I'm connecting with Issam words. So as a Milestone system, we have open platform. It's called Xprotect, is our main one. And the concept is to use the video as a core of the solution. But we built our SDK in the much open way so that we can be interoperable. The meaning is that we can use different number of cameras in terms of brands. If I recall the number, we are able to integrate 13,000 cameras, different camera, but not only technology related to video, but security, application, access control, new analytic tools that help us to be a data-driven video technology company going towards the beyond security application. And if I think when I say the open platform, I cannot speak about the flexibility and the scalability that an open platform can deliver. This is very helpful because can support end user in critical situation like the pandemic, because they need probably to increase the number of video application in a bit. So as an open platform, we are able to integrate not only video device, but also any kind of sensor. If you think about the thermal scanner, that during the pandemic, end users, especially in the mall, but also in the cities, in the square, they wanted to implement in their solution to track the temperature of the citizen. And not only this kind of device, but if we think about LiDAR or radar, and we cannot forget also the IoT. So the open platform is adaptable for evolving technology, as we can say. So in terms of growing or requirement and challenge, the challenge can change or can grow, and we need different kind of technology to tackle this challenge. And with an open platform like Xprotect, we can do that. Or the capability to have a community of developer that as a technology partner, but also a company like Convergint MVP that can support the needs of the end user. And finally, and I love to mention that, is the elimination of vendor lock-in, because we are not, we are an open platform, and the meaning is that we are not providing let's say, closed solution. So the end user and the system integrator are free to choose whatever technology they have available at that moment, or whatever vendor they want to use, for several reasons. If we think about the effect on the delivery of a specific hardware, with our open platform, you can choose the hardware that is available and is less expensive. So from my perspective, those are the main pillars of Milestone Open Platform.
Okay, thank you, Marco. And if we look at the evolution of VMS technologies, how has this essentially influenced your approach to dealing with emerging security challenges that Issam was referring to in his introduction?
So our platform, I mean, the solution stack, it's from our perspective is very simple. We have our platform as a core, as I was mentioned, that mainly is capable to integrate video device, but also, as I was mentioned before, software and hardware. So if we think about the software, we cannot not mention, I mean, the AI application that help us in any situation of our life. So specifically, we have three main pillars. So to enhance the city safety, the mobility, and the sustainability. All of these three pillars are very connected to urban security, and they, let's say, point to increase the life, the quality of life of citizen. But I was mentioned at the beginning about the IoT device. IoT device, now they are coming handy when you want to connect video data with other different measurements, like pollution, like weather conditions. So you can compare what you are seeing in real time with your camera, but with the data. And always, you know, you can get a proof that the data are not lying. And another important, let's say, aspect is the cybersecurity. No, so in Milestone we take very serious the problem of the cybersecurity and the security of the data. We can say we have a security by design, because we split, let's say, we separate the networks of cameras with the networks of client, or we use the protocols, no, like the HTTPS. And another interesting part is related to the cloud. So in this part of the world, especially in UAE and in Saudi, they are moving to a cloud-based solution, and we are ready. And also we are capable now to manage increasing requests of storage and data management. And I want to mention also the importance that we give to the data privacy. So as a Milestone, we are GDPR compliant, and this is a very important aspect that lately, in this part of the world is also important, like in Europe. So now we would like to have your opinion. So then can you launch the poll, please?
Okay, so yes, anyone watching, definitely fill in the poll, and we'll be able to look into that afterwards before we move on to the second topic that we're going to explore, which will be enhancing safe and smart cities and essentially protecting the critical assets. But let me know when you want to move on, Marco, and we can move on to the next part.
Yeah, please, I'm ready.
Okay. Okay, moving on to the next topic area. I'd like to come back to yourself, Issam, and ask you about your experience looking at specifically urban assets, in Middle East and North African cities. What do you think are the major challenges these critical, pivotal urban assets face in terms of security?
Good point. How many hours do I have? Because this is really a very wide topic. So let me try to break it down just very briefly. So critical assets in this part of the world are very asymmetric between different cities. You have everywhere from religious shrines to main buildings, to government assets, to transportation, to utility grid, utility power and water generation facilities. You have key event spots. We've seen the Expo, we've seen the F1 in several countries. We've seen so many, things happening around the region. And then you have places in North Africa that are more, again, very high dense urban areas where the government buildings and the government assets are concentrated in the same place. So this does not make anybody's life easier when it comes to assessing and designing the threats and security systems. So there are two components to this. You have the technology side of this, and you have the environment, the environment as in the people and the geopolitical environment and everything that revolves around that. We spoke about the diversified population. We spoke about all of these things. I want to transition into the type of threats that we have seen. So you've seen everything from sabotage to vandalism to theft. A lot of theft that impacts these places, especially in utilities. You've seen planned attacks. You've seen that's purely all security, and certain events that were targeted and luckily failed to fulfill the malevolent targets in that sense, the benevolent targets in that sense. So there's also the element of crowd management and supply chain disruptions that might be happening. So these locations, they're always one damaged node in the communication network, the transportation network in a city like Riyadh or Jeddah could cause could have a massive impact on people and on the disruption of operations and business continuity and safety and all of those things. So along those lines, what do we have in terms of technology in place to be able to mitigate those threats? As mentioned before, many places are more empowered than others. So the main thing is to have sort of the right infrastructure in place, having the right technology in place, and this is a very wide subject to protect these places. There's a number of consultants in the region, number of specialists and people in key positions that are continuously thinking about this and trying to make it better. From the perspective of this particular webinar, we like to touch on it from a platform perspective, simply because if you want to secure these places, you will need to have, and I'm purely targeting this from a physical security perspective, you need to have the right systems in place. You need to have the right devices in place. You need to have the open platform associated with the right sensors, cameras, intrusion detection systems, physical protection. Everything has to be functioning nicely, and it has to be interconnected, because once a threat is occurring at one of those facilities, you don't need only to be able to know about it after a week or a month, but you need to be able to know about it in the fastest manner possible to be able to react and mitigate the threat and do these things about it. So along those lines, the environment is not very helpful this entire region has been a bedrock for instability for a very long time. So what we try to urge and what we try to work with our customers, with our clients, with many government entities, with regulators, is to make sure that at least we have the right technologies in place to be able to deal with these ongoing challenges that we're having.
Okay, thank you, Hassan. And Marco, I'd like to just fire a question your way. Could you potentially explain how Milestone's Systems VMS platform specifically addresses the urban security needs that Hassan touches upon here, including the cybersecurity aspects as well?
Yes, sure. So as we were seeing the previous slide, but now you're showing part of it. We are taking this the urban security challenge with three pillars, as I say: the safety, the mobility, and the sustainability. For each pillars, with our platform, but also with our great integration capabilities, we provide solution in any situation. So the crowd management, the real-time visualization with the scope to increase and to increase the capability of the end user to respond to emergency, so to reduce the time to respond to the emergency, but also the crowd management that is not only related to the pandemic situation, but also to safety situation. If we think about in the square where we can have a lot of gatherings, so we need to know how many patrol units we need to allocate. So regarding that, we have the support of our partner, and with the different kind of artificial intelligence algorithm, we can move also in mobility related to how to let's say control and monitor the traffic, reduce the accident, understand the traffic flow, so how to correlate the traffic flow with the pollution, the increasing of the pollution. So any situation can be, let's say, managed with our AI bridge that is part of our SDK that is increasing the chance to have a good integration in with a limited time and ready to use solution in our platform. But I cannot mention other features of the platform itself, like the scalability, as I was mentioned before, that is very crucial in this urbanization growth, very, very quickly. And I cannot forget the part of the community. So internally at the company, we have a role of a community manager, that they are like a trade union between the technical partner and system integrator and the company itself. So to make easier the integration, but also the usage of our application, and a support of community, so company that works to deliver service. And I cannot mention partner like again MVP Convergint that knows very well our software. They are trained and they are able also to train the end user. Finally, regarding the cybersecurity measure, as I mentioned in the previous answer, we are very keen to tackle the cybersecurity problem, and with different kind of measures. First of all, with the separation of camera networks with the client, we have a digital signature for video database and export. We have application on web and mobile, because we understand that mobility is very important when you use video in urban environment, but we don't want to forget the security. So we provide specific protocol like the HTTPS that use it also for the connection of the camera. We use also audit reports, the encryption of the password, and user right management. And since we are an open platform, we also have a full authentication and authorization for the third-party application that are integrated through our Milestone integration platform SDK.
Okay, thank you, Marco. And I'm conscious of time, so let's move on to the next topic area, which is exploring the advantages of an open VMS platform. And I'll stick with you, Marco, because I'm interested in understanding how your open VMS platform can tailor solutions to the unique challenges and unique needs specific to the Middle East and North Africa region.
Yes, sure. One of the first topic that we discussed also during the rehearsal is the capability as an open platform to reuse multiple solutions that are already in place, meaning cost saving. So the end user, they don't need to throw away their application or device they already installed. But if they want to grow in terms of safety and security, and also I can say in beyond security application, they can use our platform because we are able to, as a vendor agnostic, we can able to integrate and collect data from any kind of solution that is already installed. Another point, since we have almost 3,000 vendors installed between hardware and software, I can say that the ecosystem support is a very is a relevant for the needs of the and the challenge of the in the MENA region and for the end user in the MENA region. Be ready with the cloud. We have a dedicated solution platform that is called Kite and is used in a cloud environment. And thanks to this openness, to the number of partners that we have, we can, let's say, tailor-made solution for any specific use case with the support of Convergint MVP, for instance. And finally, I mean, all of this is to be very adaptable to the infrastructure at very level of the development of the solution. So this is the real features, I mean, of open platform in this urban environment.
Okay, thank you, Marco. And I'll fire the following questions to Issam. From a system integrator's perspective, what advantages does an open VMS platform offer in terms of scalability and customization for smart cities?
This has been basically a very big subject of discussion with especially the clients for the smart cities in the region. I can mention a few maybe key advantages that we always emphasize on. The first one would be that you're not tied to a particular hardware or software application. A very, very specific, set of solutions that you cannot digress from. This is very important because this opens the horizon for you. You can basically benefit from the latest and greatest in the market and the available technology, and connect it into something like Milestone and use it to solve your problems. The second element is particularly the software layer, the analytics layer. On the analytics layer, it sits sort of next to what Milestone does in managing these smart cities. Having something like Milestone in place means that you can benefit from adding a lot of third-party type of analytics from different walks of life, something specialized for FR, something specialized for heat maps, something specialized in counting. And we know by now that many of these analytics providers around the world, they are more or less specialized and they do one or two things really, really well. So having something like Milestone in place means that you can interconnect a lot of these things together. A third element, not very conventional maybe, is the fact that for an integrator like us, we can leverage our in-house software capabilities. The system is not closed, and you have a lot of SDKs with it, and APIs to be created. So, along those lines, a company like us, where we have the software capabilities in-house, there's so much that we can customize basically and work with. One more thing is the scalability. The good thing about Milestone's platform is that when you build these solutions, you are not necessarily building something that has to be very big and multi-thousand sensors, or very small, maybe for 3-4 cameras. You do have the flexibility to mix and match different products under their portfolio, and make sure that even if you have 45, 50, 60,000 cameras, or you have 10 cameras on the field somewhere in a critical asset, you can interlink everything and make it work together. The architecture is very flexible and scalable. One more thing to add to what Marco said. So besides having the cloud option, they have the on-prem option, and they have the option of having the hybrid solution, which is a sort of a mix between the on-prem and the cloud solution. This is very, very important for big cities, because it's not a simple building where you're building something that's straightforward, linear. It's always different cases in different areas of the city and different critical assets. So having flexibility like this basically empowers you to have options as you design, and as a designer, I can say.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And following on from that sentiment there, what are the core technical components that you focus on when integrating a VMS platform into urban security infrastructure?
Yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna get too technical in that, but I would say the first step, honestly, above everything, is understanding what the customer wants before we get to the technology. So we spend a lot of time and effort in basically talking to our customers, going down on the field with them, and trying to understand what they want to achieve. And then it's basically our mandate to be able to design something alongside the technology that works for them, that's cost efficient at the end of the day. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the product itself. We look at the product. So we've been working with Milestone for 15 plus years, since their early days. And the reason we sort of kept this sort of relationship with them, and we specialized in their product, is all the stuff that we've been talking about for the past 40 minutes, which is the open platform, the flexibility, and the scalability and future proofing, basically. So that the product itself is key. And then the third element is, so the platform is there, the study and understanding of what the client needs is there. Now we need to have the sensors on the field. These sensors need to be, again, open source sensors. They need to be very specific in achieving what the client is looking for. We don't want to give a client a device that does 50 things, out of which the client is going to use 1 or 2. That's very important. Another element is connectivity. Which gets us to the network. There are tons of ways how we can design the connectivity for smart cities. We've seen clients use the dedicated fiber route. Clients use microwave. Clients use Wi-Fi. There are so many solutions nowadays. But again, it all goes back to how do you design this architecture, and how do you build the connectivity technology to achieve it. A couple of more things before I pass on is the redundancy and failover. When you're working with smart cities and you're working with these advanced applications, you need to make sure that if you lose a particular device or connectivity node, you don't lose the entire system. You don't lose the entire visibility of what's going on, or the entire recording of what's happening. So we sort of inbuild into these solutions a lot of redundancies. the system should be capable of being maintained and upgraded as well. This is something very important because this is what protects your investment as a government or a smart city. Having a system capable of being maintained smoothly, requiring less maintenance as possible. And when you want to upgrade certain components of it, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you do that. The platform like Milestone allows you to do this on scale and in a very efficient way.
Okay, thank you. And moving on to the second to last topic, which is the role of collaboration, which Issam, you've touched upon briefly in your statement there. So I'll move on to Marco's opinion on this one. So in your experience, Marco, how does collaboration with system integrators like Convergint enhance the effectiveness of security solutions?
So we, as a Milestone, we work very close with system integrator and especially with company like Convergint. And you can understand why, because as Issam was saying, I can agree 100% with what he said before. So so they are experts and specialized, and thanks to the idea of the design of our architecture as an open platform, they are free to bring to the end user any kind of solution, because they are really free to use whatever they want to tackle the challenge and fulfill the requirements of the end user. Also the collaboration to implement new solution, to have a tailored solution, and also the expertise in maintain, because the system and the solution they deliver, I mean, everybody can deliver a project, but then you need to be capable to maintain the project at the same quality and standard when you have the acceptance test, no? So a company like them, they are capable to do that, and it's a continuous collaboration even after years that the project is delivered. And I mean, those are the main features. I know I can say.
No, thank you. I'll pass back to Issam then, because I think the main challenge here is probably execution and project management when it comes to complex security integrations. Every city is very different. So how do you manage that, Issam? You are on mute, Miss Issam.
Sorry for that. I'm conscious of time, so I don't want to, consume a lot of more time from my end. But there is no size that fits all when it comes to project management and the execution. But there are a few, I would say, key elements that we sort of stress on in any project, let it be Safe City or anything else, that are key for us. The team structure, basically. Let's start with that. So we design the team structure based on the complexity and size of the project and the different specialties that you need and to be involved in that project. And we stay loyal to that team structure through the age of the project. The second element is the single point of contact. We usually deploy very specialized and experienced project managers that are normally having previous experiences in managing complicated projects, and they understand how projects like Safe City projects operate. Most of these are falling under government. So government operates in a bit of a different way in different cities, different countries. The second point is we sort of design the back end of whatever is happening on the field that's happening in the company when it comes to systems and processes that these guys need to make sure they can do their job. Let it be logistics, the supply chains, how resources are added, how their equipment reaches the site, the process of applying for the permits to work and how these permits operate. It's a very complicated type of project. It's not easy, it's not straightforward. So you need somebody with the right let's say sophistication and knowledge in how these things operate to be able to navigate it. One more thing, we have a big emphasis on the design phase. The design phase dictates a lot if this team is going to be able to do their job properly on the site or not. That means that we put together a very comprehensive technical package that includes very detailed drawings, very detailed calculations, very broken down, type of bills of material that when an engineer looks at them and when he looks at the drawing, he should have a roadmap on how to execute these projects. These are just high level points. We can make a webinar maybe one day about only this aspect. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
If I can add just to support the last sentence of Issam. So in May, we launched a A&E portal that can be used by our partner, and not only the consultant, but also system integrator, where everybody can find any kind of tools to design the system, to discover more features about our solution, how we consider important the cybersecurity and any kind of information, technical information about our platform.
Fantastic, thank you. So moving on to the final topic, let's look towards the future and I suppose the overall shaping of the urban environment and how resilience plays a fundamental role in securing the region. So I'll fire the first question over to you, Marco. How do you anticipate the evolving urban challenges in the Middle East region will shape the future of urban security and resilience?
So I start again with what I finished related to the cybersecurity. So especially in Saudi and UAE, but also in Qatar, we have a movement towards the digital transformation. And as the city become more digital connected, we cannot, the risk of cybersecurity threats grow. So the fact that we consider our platform cybersecurity proof means that we are supporting and we are anticipating any kind of issue related to stolen data and threat like this. And also the climate change, environmental risk, as I was mentioned, one of the pillars of our AI is related to the sustainability. So the solution that we are integrating and the device that we already have as integrated, they support this kind of challenge. And I can say we are ready, we are future-proof, we are scalable. So any kind of issue related to the uncertainty can be tackled by our platform. So in few words, I see we are a little bit over the time, so.
That's okay, not a problem. I think the final question for Issam is, what role do you personally see for technology driving urban transformation? I suppose it builds on what Marco was saying around digital transformation, but what are your predictions, perspectives for the next 5 or 10 years?
It's one of the easiest predictions I can ever make. Technology will be at the heart of everything that we're going to be doing moving forward in this industry. Especially in this industry. You remember when we started discussing how the post-pandemic, all the initiatives are focused towards embedding a robust technology infrastructure into the security industry, because that's basically your base, your foundation to be able to deal with a pandemic, to deal with a crisis, to plan better for the future. So we sort of we see it happening. The population is now approaching 335 million in the region. It's gonna be increasing a lot. There's gonna be more expats coming to the growing cities in Saudi Arabia and UAE. So it's just a matter of time until all of these applications that we're talking about, in let it be on the ANPR front, on the drones, on the access control, the biometrics, the law enforcement, the healthcare, everything will basically become at some point interlinked, and the data that's being generated from all of these systems will become interlinked, and different entities within these governments will be using these data in so many different ways. If you have the platform that can talk to all of these data sources, to these databases, and it can basically be your tool to to go to the future, to look at things in a very different way and become more efficient and bring new innovations to your country or to your government.
Okay, thank you. Now we've got a couple of minutes for questions. I can see a number of questions have come through, so thank you to the audience for sharing them. One of the first questions here is, what comes first, a safe or smart city, or are they mutually connected? And which one of you would like to to answer that question?
I can answer if you want.
Go for it, Marco.
So I mean, a safe city is a smart city at the same time, because I mean the purpose of the city is to keep to make the people living there in a good way. So if you don't grant the security and the safety of the citizen, your city is not smart, first of all. So and lately with with all the capability of the data that we can collect from the camera itself and solution from AI, we are becoming smarter, because we can predict, we can prevent we can prevent fatalities, we can reduce the number of incidents in the road. So the road are safety, and the safety of the road means also a city that becomes smarter, because let's say I like to live in a smart city because I know that there are technology that can watch me if there is an accident. They can call the patrol unit to support me, or if there is an accident with the people that need support from ER, automatically they can send support or call doctor there. So I mean, it says a safety city is also a smart city, because now we are not using only video for security purpose, but also for beyond security application.
Thank you. And a couple of questions really around privacy implications and the cybersecurity controls or protocols in place. What are the privacy implications here? Because I imagine there's lots of data, there's lots of touch points, lots of cameras. What are the privacy implications here? Are there any data protection regulations that we have to consider? And I'll ask that to Issam.
I actually would like Marco to answer this question, because he's at the core of the technology that we're discussing. Yeah. Maybe Marco, you can have a take on this.
Yeah, no problem. So I can say that we are one of the few, or probably the only VMS with a third-party certification for GDPR is provided by a German company. So its third party is not correlated with us. And this certification is called Europrise. So every year this company certified that the design of our platform, so its product, let's say, comply with the GDPR rules. So any companies that use our platform or end user can be sure that the data collected are treated in the proper way, I mean, in compliance with the GDPR. So any individuals within the EU or any areas that connected to EU can, let's say, be sure. But since this concern is also in MENA region, we can say that the GDPR is something that could be also extended. And since the VMS has this kind of certification, I can say they are in a good end.
Thank you. Now, final question here for Issam is, once you've implemented the VMS solution, is it easy to update once the solution is in place? It's one of our questions from Philip.
Yeah, I mean, good question. And I want to touch it purely from a Milestone perspective for the sake of transparency. To give it a context, and the short answer is yes, but to give it a context of what we're talking about is we have run certain areas in the region where we have north of 45,000 cameras across a fairly medium-sized geographic area. And having the right maintenance contracts in place, we have a maximum of 10 people, if I recall correctly, that maintain and upgrade these systems. So imagine the level of what we're talking about here, and you need a small number of people that obviously know what they're doing, but they have the right tools in hand to upgrade not just the Milestone component of the solution, but to upgrade the remaining, the camera drivers, the network, and everything else. So yes, it's fairly easy to upgrade.
Okay, fantastic. Well, look, we've maxed out the time on the webinar here. I mean, it's one of those topics where it's multi-dimensional, a lot of value propositions vertically, horizontally, across smart cities and, I suppose, related infrastructure services, organizations, government, private. So thank you both for contributing to the webinar today. Thank you to the audience for attending and for watching. Do scan the QR code to explore some of the content that these two gentlemen have explored today. But thank you, Marco. Thank you, Issam, for
You're welcome. Thank you, Issam.
Thank you, gents.
And we hope to see you all very, very soon in one of our next webinars at the Security Middle East magazine. So thank you for attending and have a fantastic day.